Google may have just released the smartest AI model on the planet. And in this video, I'm going to show you why investing in Google's new AI model, Gemini 3.1, may be the best investment in software that you can make for your small law firm. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to get the most out of Google Gemini in chat, how to create your own personalized assistants using Google Gems, how to leverage Google's platform called NotebookLM to build slides, visual representations, and image representations of case documents. I'm going to show you how to integrate Google Gemini into the Google Docs and Google Drive folders that you're already using. And I'm going to show you how you can build your own internal software tools and use features very similar to Claude Cowork by using Google's IDE anti-gravity. If you don't know who I am, my name is Masai and I work directly with small law firms to help them build out different automations and incorporate AI into their day-to-day operations. Let's get right into it. So we are going to start this demo in the Google Gemini chat interface, and you can get there by just going to gemini.google.com. We're going to start with a chat interface that you're likely familiar with if you've used any other AI tools like ChatGPT or Claude. We have this chat box here. We have our previous chats over here on the left-hand side. We have the ability to use tools, right, to search to do deep research, create video, create music, which is really cool because of Google's other models like Nano Banana, for example, and VO, which allows to create images and videos. You can select the model that you want over here on the right-hand side. So the fast model, the thinking model, the pro model. And this is the new model that's come out here, Gemini 3.1 Pro, which is really good for really advanced reasoning tasks. Then it has this ability here to add files. And so this is what I really want to show you guys is the power of Gemini is that it has this enormous context window. I mean, you can put a lot of information in here and it can still be coherent over a really large amount of context that we input into it. So the use case I have here is a bunch of case documents, so attorney notes, an email chain, a complaint draft, an incident report, intake notes, medical summary, opposing counsel email. Upload all of these in here into Gemini, and then I can just ask questions about it. I'm just going to tell it to act as a senior litigation attorney, identify key legal issues, risks, and draft a response strategy. Right, and then obviously we could change the model here. If we wanted the thinking model, we could have it think. If we wanted the pro model, we could have it, we could use the pro model as well, right? But this is just showing off just how much context you can actually put into the chat window. And so we can see the final response here that comes out, it having gone and read all these documents, giving us back a response here, going through, finding the legal issues, finding risks and weaknesses, putting together a response strategy, all these things, right? And then you can kind of continue going through here and ask questions about the documents here. Again, a really neat thing that it gives you as well is this reference to the initial document. So you can always come in here and see which document it's actually pulling from to make these different statements and claims. So you can always double check everything that way. Apart from that, it's pretty much similar to other chatbots that you will have heard of, ChatGPT or Claude or whichever one you're familiar with. Very similar to those there. So let's move on to the next feature. So the next thing that I want to show you guys are gems. And gems are basically personalized AI assistants, right? So for example, I have this gem here, an intake analyst. If I go to edit this gem, or if you create a gem, you'll see a screen that looks like this. You can give the gem a name. You can give it a description as well. You won't be able to read the description all that well, but this is a description of the gem, which is what people are going to see when they use it. And then you can give it the instructions here, right? Where you tell it what its role is, what its responsibilities are, etc., etc. Basically, you're just controlling the behavior of this gem, of this assistant. You can also give it some tools here as well. So you can, if you wanted to create images or use the canvas or create video or create guided learning assets, you can do that as well. You could use that potentially for internally training people on your team. And then you can give it knowledge as well, right? So this is just a PDF document I created with some intake evaluation criteria, and you can put that into the gem as well. And then the idea is someone can come to the gem and have sort of a chat interface. So let's see. And they would be chatting, instead of chatting with regular Gemini, they're now chatting with your gem that has all of your procedural knowledge in there. So they could then speak to this gem instead of speaking to Gemini. You would have basically tweaked it a little bit so that it's more specialized to whatever you need it to be, right? So I could come here and say, I had an accident and I sprained my ankle, let's say. Sprained my ankle. Do I have a case? Right, and then this could obviously answer any questions that you'd want it to be able to go in and answer, right? So it's similar to the chat feature, but it's just that you now have the ability to go in and create these gems that will go and follow your specific process when they interact with whoever is talking to the to the gem, right? And again, really neat here. It's always going to link back to the document that it's pulling things from, which is our initial intake evaluation criteria, right? So you can always go in and change the documents that the gem has access to. You can add more documents here into the knowledge base and make any change that you want to the gem so that it serves whatever function you want it to serve, right? So those are gems, and that's the chat feature. Let's move on to the next feature. So the next feature I want to show you within the Google ecosystem is called NotebookLM. And this allows you to create notebooks, basically environments where you can have certain documents in there, and you can do a bunch of cool stuff with the documents, and you can just maintain the context, right? So if you have a bunch of documents relevant to a case, I mean, I would probably even create a notebook for every case or every client that you have, right? So you can always see what's going on with the client. You can get your questions answered with documents to support it, and you can do a bunch of other cool stuff in here. So obviously you click this create new button to create a new notebook. I'm going to go into one that I've created from earlier, which is obviously just, this is all synthetic data, but we have a bunch of documents over here, right? An ambulance report, attorney case notes, a client statement, we have an emergency room report, follow-up visit, a ton of documents here, right? And again, this is where we're taking advantage of the really large context window that Google gives us, where you can probably have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 documents in here. And NotebookLM will be able to handle this just fine, right? So we have a few things here. First of all, on the left-hand side, we have the sources, which is the documents that you're going to provide here, right? To this notebook, whatever documents you need for the notebook. You also have a really cool ability here to search the web for new sources you want to apply here. So if you wanted to search for case law or something and pull that in here, you could pull that in here as well. Then we have this chat feature in the middle, which is similar to the chat that we went over before, where you can ask questions relevant to the document. You can say, give me a summary of the case, right? You can ask really specific questions here, right? So we'll go through, read through the pages, give me the summary. And we can see it's coming back and it's giving us, a summary of everything that it's pulling from this, from the data in these documents, right? And then you could go back and forth and ask specific questions that you want to ask relevant to these documents. So fantastic there. Then we have something really cool on the right-hand side, which is the studio. And the studio is where stuff starts to get really cool. So with the studio, you have the ability to create all these different assets, which again are pulling from the sources in this notebook. So you have the ability to create an audio overview, a video overview, a mind map, reports, a quiz based on the documents, flashcard, infographic, slide deck, data tables. So we have a bunch of cool stuff going on here. So we have a visual explainer of the documents here that was generated again just by clicking this video overview button. So we can go in here.
A simple slip and fall in a grocery store, it's over in seconds. But what happens next? Well, that single moment.
Right, and so we have it's generated this entire explainer video with audio as well, right? Talking about all the different steps, different slides, all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool how you can have the video overview. You get the audio overview as well, which is basically a podcast version of what's going on in these documents. You can create slides here as well, which again, this is just AI creating these slides, going through and just reading the documents and creating all these slides for us as well. You have another asset here and a bunch of stuff, right? So you have a quiz as well that's generated, flashcards. Obviously, maybe a quiz is not the best thing to generate for, like a personal injury case notes, but maybe if you're training your staff internally on certain things, you may want to generate a quiz or flashcards, all this kind of stuff. So the studio is really cool because you can generate all these cool assets with the documents that you have here in the source section. Okay, so there's two more things I want to show you guys. Make sure you stick around to the end because the coolest and most valuable thing is going to be at the end. I'm going to show you how to use anti-gravity to build software for your law firm in natural language. But before I do that, I wanted to show you how you guys can use Gemini within Google Drive already, right? So you'll get this Gemini button here in the top right, and you can get basic things, right? Like summarize this folder, for example, right? Giving us an overview of what's going on in this folder. And again, I can open this up to a wide view, and you have the same capability to go back and forth as you would in any other chat environment, right? And ask potential questions about the documents in this folder and have those documents as context. Then you can also use Gemini within documents. So if I create a new Google Doc, again, I have this Gemini button over here on the right-hand side, and I can ask it to, summarize. And then if I use the @ button, I can search any other document. So let's see if I can find one of these. So let's say I want the employee handbook here. Summarize the employee handbook. Let's go summarize at, and then you just write the document that you want summarized. Take that, and then I can bring this in here, and now you can start to bring those outside documents into your workspace. And you can do this for several documents at a time. You could cross-reference different documents. You could conflict check by pulling those outside documents into this environment as you're chatting. Again, you have the wide view here as well, right? So if you want a wider view, you can do that. And then you can have this insert button too. So you can always insert whatever you've generated here on the right-hand side into your actual Google document, right? So that's essentially the functionality that you get from Google Gemini inside of the Docs environment, inside of your Google Drive environment. And so now we're going to get into what I think is the most powerful use case for Google, or the most powerful use case that you have with AI in Google. And that is using anti-gravity, Google anti-gravity. And that is basically the code editor that Google has created. You can get it for free and you can start to use it. Now, there's two really interesting things you can do with this. One, you can obviously create software for your law firm, which I'm going to show you in a second. But you can also use this very similarly to the way that you would use Claude Cowork. So I'm going to go over two examples of how you could use this. When you come into anti-gravity, there's this thing here called the agent manager. And this allows you to create agents that are going to do tasks for you on your local file system. So what I was able to do is open up the agent manager. You're going to see a screen that looks something like this, right? Where we have our workspaces over here on the left-hand side. These are the folders that we're working in. And for example, a task that I was able to do was a template generation task. So here I was able to give anti-gravity just one example of a template and information about the firm. And if you see over here on the right-hand side, I was able to have anti-gravity generate 20 different templates for the firm just by giving it those two examples. All you'd have to do is come to your computer, create a new folder, and then that folder can then be a workspace. And you can put whatever files you want in that folder, and then the AI will be able to reference those files in that folder and be able to create new files for you within that folder as well, right? And so what I had for template generation, all I had in here was one general template and the prompt. So if you guys can see, in this folder, all I had was this general template, and I had this prompt for how to create the template. So if I open this template up, just a really basic template here, right? That I inserted. I gave it that, and then I gave it this prompt for how to generate all the other templates. So if I open this up, this is just a prompt telling it how to generate all the other templates that we'll need for all the aspects of what we're going to be doing in the firm, right? So we had those two documents to start with. And then if you look at the prompting for this task, all I told it to do was read the prompt and create the new documents for us, right? So you come into a workspace, you find whatever folder you're going to be working in, and you open that folder, right? So I open up a new workspace. So I come in here, open new workspace, open this workspace, right, as a new workspace. Then all you would say is, now that you're working within that folder, you would say, okay, read the prompt at, and then using at, you can reference the files in the folder. And so I would just find the prompt folder, which should be the .md file. Let's see, prompt. There we go. That prompt here. So I'll read this prompt and generate the new templates. For us, right? So that's what I did. I just told it to read the prompt that's already in the folder and told it to generate those new templates for us. Then it went through, it created a plan for what it's going to do, right? So that's a really good thing about anti-gravity, is that it creates these implementation plans. So it figured out what I wanted. It generated this entire plan of what it was going to do, right? The objective is to generate 20 specific docs legal templates for this law firm. The templates must have the firm's real information and follow the styling rules, the font, etc., right? So it creates this plan. You can review the plan with it and make any changes you want to. And then it goes through and actually executes the plan. And this probably took a couple of minutes, maybe 5 or 6 minutes. But at the end of it, anti-gravity generated all of these 20 templates for us, right? And so I can open up any of these templates, all these docx templates, and see the templates here, right? And you can obviously just take these documents and upload them to OneDrive or wherever you need them to be used. You could also have anti-gravity fill these templates for you by giving it some information in here as well. and you could easily tell it to just fill out certain templates for certain clients as well, right? So the same way you'd use Claude Cowork is the same way you can use Anti-Gravity for those types of document-intensive and file-intensive tasks. And then the last thing, which is in my opinion the coolest thing about the entire Google ecosystem, is that Google Anti-Gravity allows you to build software. And so here, same sort of idea as with the template generation task, right? Where you go in, you open up a workspace, and then you just tell it what to do, basically. This was a little bit more involved. So I generated a product requirement document that's just basically going into, all you have to do that is go into something like Claude, tell it what type of app you're looking to build. Say, for example, you want a visualizer of the data in your case management system with the data coming in from your billing system, or whatever sort of app you would like to have in your firm. Anything that you can imagine building, basically. And you just work with an LLM to build out a document that looks something like what you see here on the left-hand side, which just goes through and gives a really detailed spec of all of the specifications that you need for your app. Using this will let Anti-Gravity know exactly what we need it to do when it builds out our app. And then it'll go through and actually take its time and actually formulate a plan. So we come down here, we can see again, the implementation plan is here, and we can see the entire plan for what it's going to do step by step. And then it'll go through and create the plan. Another really cool thing about Anti-Gravity is it has a browser feature which lets it go and actually test your app out for you, right? So this worked probably for about a good hour or so, maybe a little bit over an hour. And then it generated this app for us, right? This case pilot app. You can create new matters in here, matter types, etc., right? This is a really basic example, sort of like a case management visualizer platform, but anything that you would want to build out, you can basically build that out in Anti-Gravity, and you can have different platforms connect into it, and you can build your own internal software tool. So in my opinion, this is the coolest thing that you can do with AI in the Google ecosystem with Anti-Gravity. So that's how you can get the most out of Google Gemini. If you are the owner of a small law firm and you need help building out automations, AI agents, or just figuring out strategy and what to do with AI in your law firm, there is a link you can click on in the description if you're interested in working together, if you would like to. Again, thank you guys again for watching this video. If you liked it, there's a button for that. Leave a comment, let me know what other kind of videos you guys want to see. Subscribe so you don't miss any more videos like these. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys a ton for watching this video. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys take advantage of it and use it in your law firms a bunch.